Hi, everybody. Yesterday we talked a little bit about what are some of the things we need to do on our very first steps for prepping for higher education in the U.S. Today we're going to expand a little bit more on the core competencies um, to focus on. Our prior video, we looked at what do I need to succeed for higher education and what do I need to succeed for higher education in the United States particularly, and we started talking about three overall high-level core competencies. We discussed the first one a little bit yesterday or in our last video, which was communication, and we touched on a couple of different points in the communication bucket. We looked at English and Spanish being some of the great tools that are out there for us to leverage if you just want to be better about communication and having communicated to different people, communities, in terms of just your outreach here. We talked about slangs and metaphors. We talked about how history influences a particular region, which influences the language, and we talk about people attached to those history and really understanding the community if you really want to understand a language. So that gives way to the other two competencies which we're going to talk about today. And the first one, or the second in three, we talked about COW as an acronym with an A, so that's CAW. The first one being communication, which we covered yesterday, like we just talked about. The second one is your attitude, which is A, and the third one would be W, which is willingness. So let's take a quick look at attitude. I would say attitude bucket can be broken down into two major pointers here that I want to comment on. I think when I say attitude, I don't mean attitude as in your attitude about a particular thing or a particular way of understanding education. But since we're talking very, very broad terms here, I want to equip you to understand what attitude means in general. So what I mean when I say attitude is how do you perceive people, and how do people perceive you? What is your general attitude towards people? Now I know this is something which we don't talk about a whole lot if you are especially from India, where I'm from, and we inherently as human beings want everybody to like us. But we don't really do, or at least from where I'm from, I didn't get a chance to do a lot of introspection about what is my real attitude towards community in general. What is How do I perceive people? Do I always see people as being, in terms of being a pessimist, that a lot of people will, in fact, not be able to live up to the expectations that I have for them? Or do I look at them as being, okay, no matter what the situation, I'm going to make the best out of it? So there's just two schools of thought. There's just no other way around it. Either you pick up your bags and you get going no matter where the road takes you, or you give up and you stay where you are. And that involves people, that involves processes, that involve decisions that are going to come your way. Because when you come to the U.S. specifically, now that we're talking about higher education, you're going to be faced with a lot of variables. Some variables you might have dealt with in the past, but some variables are going to be absolutely, completely new to you. So your attitude towards those variables, those roadblocks, those things that deter you from reaching your goal in a timely fashion, is going to be a big factor in your success here. Not just with higher education, but overall in general. So that's our second pointer, A, which is attitude, and now we go to the third, which is W, which stands for willingness. So when I talk about willingness, what I understand is my willingness to do what it takes to get me to where I want to go. So willingness, when I say willingness, it actually means what drives you and how curious are you about the things around you. Most of the times when you're here, you will be faced with, like I said, variables, and you've got to have the right attitude, but also you need to have the willingness to push through those variables to get to where you want to get to. So without attitude, willingness is of no use in a way, and without willingness, attitude kind of deflates itself. So what I see willingness as is, if you're coming here for your education, how determined are you that no matter what, you will have the attitude that no matter what, I'm going to pick myself up even after being punched multiple times. And this is not actually being punched, this is metaphorical. No matter how many roadblocks I come across, my attitude is not going to change. I'm not going to be any less than relentless in my pursuit of my goal. First, higher education, and second, obviously, wherever life takes you, whatever God blesses you with. But I just wanted to point out that along with attitude, your willingness, your will, your sheer determination of getting to where you want to get to, whether it's life in general, whether it's contributing to the community, contributing to the economy, pursuit of a new job opportunity, pursuit of your own development, just constantly being on the edge to be a better person tomorrow is going to be critical. So that concludes our two-part video. The first part was our last video, and the second part was today about our first steps, very high-level strategic steps and core competencies that you need to succeed for your higher education. Thanks a lot for watching. Again, this is Rahul. I'll be in touch.